Hi, in this video I'll be updating on the performance of the Speculate to Accumulate Placespotter. It's one of the horse racing tipping services I've been monitoring since the start of the year. If you've not seen the previous video I did on their service, just prior to the Cheltenham Festival, I suggest you give that a watch as I go into more detail about the actual service. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. Today I'll just be concentrating on their results for the first 4 months of the year, which bookmakers you'll need to have accounts with if you want to make a profit following their selections, and why backing their selections on the betting exchanges isn't a good idea. Okay, let's hop over to the computer and take a look at how the services have been performing. This is the spreadsheet where I record the bets for the various tipsters that I'm monitoring. And the last update I did on SP2A Placespotter was on the 12th of March. And while I was editing that video, they actually popped up with a winner in Chenery at Gorham Park, who won at 20 to 1. Now, I did actually include a mention in that video that I had the win. Now, I hadn't actually shown that on the results, and that brought them into a slight profit there of 2.35. Now, this is based on the advised prices that they give out in their emails. And the column next to it is the prices that I've checked on odds checker, so they're the best odds guaranteed prices. I say best odds guaranteed prices there, that's just a heading I use for all the tipsters. A lot of the time with their bets they're not best odds guaranteed, and I'll come on to why that is in a second. Then further to the right, so where it's got bog written there, that's where they are actually best odds guaranteed, and the ones at blank are where they're not best odds guaranteed. We go along a bit further. These are the columns where I record the advised prices and the, well, I call it early price there, which is the best odds guaranteed price. And I include those two separately, so then I can compare their prices against SP, so that if it is a best odds guaranteed race, then it uses the SP rather than the figure that's in one of these columns. And for their selections, I've also included the Betfair SP. I wanted to show you the difference when backing with their advised bookmaker prices compared with Betfair SP. And then we've got the total stake at the end here. So a lot of the time their service relies on the extra places that are offered by the relevant bookmakers. Now the majority of the time those are from Sky Bet. Some of the time it's from William Hill, and occasionally other bookmakers when they're offering the extra places. But primarily Sky Bet. So if you're not able to get the enhanced prices with Sky Bet, then you're really not going to be able to get the best out of their service. And when I come to show you the charts on it, you'll see the difference it makes by not being able to get the enhanced prices. And when I come down to stakes, sometimes it's a 1 point each way. That's if they actually put it up as a tip. 0.5 each way is when they put it up as a tracker bet. Now you see it here, I've included a couple of 0.25s. Now in the Cheltenham Festival, they actually put these up as 0.25 bets, but a lot of the time they just refer to them as shrapnel bets, and I hadn't been including the shrapnel bets, and when they put it up as 0.25 they didn't refer to that as a shrapnel, so I included them. But after that they then referred to shrapnel bets and 0.25 as interchangeable terms. So subsequent to those two being included, I haven't included any 0.25 bets or shrapnel bets. I wasn't including the shrapnel bets beforehand. And that's usually because they don't actually mention the shrapnel bets in the main headline at the top of the message that they send out in the email. They only just mention it in passing during the actual write-up about why they've made the selection. So I just want to make that clear that why those two have been included, but in general I'm not including any of the shrapnel bets. Okay, so if we look to see how they performed since my last update then, well, Cheltenham was just around the corner at the time. They only had the one main winner for the Placespotter service, which is Mrs Milner, who won the Pertemps final at odds of 12 to 1. But they did actually have a lot of other Cheltenham selections for the other tipsters that are included within their service. They also had T Clipper that they advised at 50 to 1, who came third, backed into 33 to 1. And they also had Janika advised at 28 to 1, which actually drifted out to 33 to 1. But you'll see that was actually covered by the best odds guarantee. And they had a few other places as well. In particular, Al Nadam actually finished 7th. So obviously if you were betting on the betting exchange, that would have only played out to 4 places. If we slide on to there, you'll see as far as Betfair SP goes, that one was a loser. The 33 to 1 here, that was a loser as well. A lot of the time when you're betting with the bet in exchanges, they'd end up being losers, and their service really does revolve around getting these enhanced places that are offered by the bookmakers, and in particular Sky Bet. At the end of Cheltenham, they were up to 18 points profit based on their advised prices, which based on the figures available with the bookmakers by the time the message was sent out, it was just over 16 points. So that profit was pretty much given back, and they were just about making a slight loss on the actual prices there. But they seem to really excel in the festival meetings, and so we've come into Punchestown meeting this week. They had 2 winners in the first few days at Punchestown. We've got Vital Island and Singing Banjo. Let me just pull up the email they sent out on that, because this really epitomises when a tipster gets things spot on. So their message was sent out at 7:35 in the morning. So Singing Banjo was available at 50 to 1 at that time, and Vital Island at 9 to 1. And those were the 2 selections they gave for the race. So Singing Banjo was heavily backed into 14 to 1. And if I pull up the odds checker figures for Singing Banjo, you can't access them from the site now, but I did save the page at the time. So this is the information available on odds checker. Let me scroll down quickly to the bottom. So the overnight prices, Paddy Power, Betfair and BetVictor were offering 50 to 1. We'll scroll up. So by the time they sent their email out, it was 7:35. And so the prices hadn't changed by that point. But then you can see around about just before 9 o'clock, those 3 brought their prices into 40 to 1. If we carry on scrolling up, you can see by 10 o'clock, the price had absolutely crashed down to like 10 to 1, 11 to 1, 10 to 1. Most of the bookmakers were offering 10 or 11 to 1, and go on a little bit further, and we're even down to 9 to 1 and 8 to 1. So it'd been back down from 50 to 1 to as low as 8 to 1 with some bookmakers by 10:30 that morning. And it pretty much stayed at that sort of price. So it was 7 o'clock that the race went off. Not much change there. As we get down to nearly get up to 7 o'clock, and you can see that it drifted out again to the 14 to 1. So very well supported, and the race really did reflect that. And if I just play to you the video at the end of the race, it just shows how spectacularly they did get it right in this race, where their 2 selections were well clear of the remainder of the field.
Ding dong between Vital Island and Singing Banjo, and then St. Benedict and Subset, and at the final fence there's nothing between them. Singing Banjo on the far side of Vital Island. They're racing into the closing stages. Singing Banjo from Vital Island. Singing Banjo's not to be denied for the Walshes and Philip Rodwell. What a day for Philip. Vital Island well clear.
A great tipping performance. It's just a shame they decided not to back it again yesterday when it ran in the cross-country chase again at the Punchestown Festival, as it won again at 33 to 1. So that's over 7 miles the horse ran in the space of 3 days and won both races. Pretty impressive. That put them in a nice healthy profit for the year. If we scroll over, the figures for SP and Betfair SP are still very much in a negative. And that's because obviously SP was 14 to 1. The Betfair SP was actually 38 points on there, so 37 to 1 for the win and 4.4 points for the place. I'll scroll back. And yesterday they had a 11 to 2 winner, which was one that they actually put up as a tip rather than a tracker bet, so that had the full 1 point each way rather than the 0.5 each way. Okay, flick over now to show that on a chart. So you can see it is very much a roller coaster. So the service isn't going to suit everybody. The blue line is the best odds guarantee, and then the grey line is the starting price, and the red line is the Betfair starting price. And that's really why, if you're only able to bet on the exchanges because you've had bookmaker accounts closed or for any other reason, I don't recommend you following their service and backing them at Betfair SP. You'll see that when they do have a big winner, you do get a good profit from it. But in particular, this bit here, this is where we had Cheltenham, and you were getting enhanced places for the different bookmakers. And it was making such a difference that it went from being well below the Betfair SP to well above the Betfair SP, just because there was more winning bets, because when the horses were finishing 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, without those winning bets for the extra places, you're just not going to be able to make the profits. So again here, the Betfair SP was just so far down behind the starting price. It actually did leap back above it again when they had that on Singing Banjos because of the Betfair SP of 38. And then the Betfair SP on Capodano was also 9.8, so that was a lot higher than the 11-2. So from 146 bets recorded, they've had 50 winning bets, which is a 34.2% strike rate. Now, when I say winning bets, that's not actually horses that have won. So if we quickly look back at the spreadsheet, some of these bets are quite small when they actually won. So a 9-1 winner there, 0.5 points profit. We've got some others, 0.05 points profit, 0.7, 0.4. So there's some quite small wins there when the horses are placed. But as far as my stats are concerned, they're classed as winners. Based on taking the bookmaker prices, 32 points profit, SP minus 19 points, Betfair SP minus 12 points. And this is a breakdown for it for each of the different months for the January, February, March, April. They haven't got any selections today, so this is the final figures for April. So March and April have been good, and that's because of those big price winners that I've shown you. It's difficult to take into account the cost of the service when working out the profits. At £10 per point, they would have made £321 profit, and at £20 per point, it would have been £643 profit. And the subscriptions, if I just pull up their website, you can see subscriptions are £15 a week, £47.50 a month, £119.50 for 3 months. So for over 4 months, it would have been £119.50 plus the £47.50. We can do the 6 month, 1 year, 3 years. But you also get all these other tipsters included within that price. So Placespotter that's just the one that I'm monitoring. But you do get all of these tipsters fall within that price. So if you'd paid for 1 month plus 3 months, you would have paid £167. So you could take those off of those two. But as I say, you get all of the other tipsters as well. So it does make a huge difference betting with the advised bookmakers. As I say, I put best odds guarantee there, but if you're taking the enhanced places with Sky Bet, they don't offer the best odds guarantee. But then you do get the likes of William Hill, Paddy Power that offer enhanced places, and they will still give you the best odds guarantee. But a lot of the time they don't pay out as many places as what Sky Bet pay out. If you found the analysis of the SP2A's Placespotter selections useful and wish me to continue reporting the tipster services in this way, I thank you for hitting the like button. Over the next week or so, I'll be providing updates on the other tipsters I've been monitoring, so do make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when they're uploaded.